Welcome to Duke Champions.
Listen up. All you ever asked for is an opportunity. You got it today. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
Yeah!
Come on with it, baby!
Yeah!
And an uncontrolled outpouring of hip young people.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, red, white, blue, feel the cold wind blow. Breaking down the tape in the combat zone. From Orchard Park to the end zone thrown. This is Bill's talk, hard facts, backbone. Yeah. Alex Cullen with the sharp insight. Randall Cypher scheming chess moves all night. Alex Miley, big dumb animal raw. Smashing hot takes through the studio door. Stats get funky, narratives get thrown. Dude champions, media, Buffalo combat zone. Buffalo combat zone. Beat hit, crowd chant, let's go Buffalo. Beat hit, crowd chant, let's go Buffalo.
Hey folks, how we doing today? It is just me and Miley today on Duke Combat Zone. Miley, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yankees just took the lead, so that's nice. Sabres are currently tied, but I got trust they can take care of the Blackhawks and hopefully lock up the division tonight.
Yeah, 3-3 in the Red Wings Lightning, right?
Oh, the Red Wings tied it up. They were down 3-1.
Yeah, no, they just tied it up 3-3 with 3
Sweet.
minutes left.
Yeah, because if that game goes to overtime, if Buffalo wins in regulation, they clinch the
And we
division.
lock it.
Yep.
Let's
And then
get
if
it
Tampa
done.
loses that game, that makes it even better. That's any type of win locks it.
Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Well, we are on 1 hour late. My kiddo had a double header. I appreciate it. I owe Miley Miley, I'm going to get you one of those pharmacy shirts for you. I'm going to send it over to you.
Sweet.
All right. Well, the objective of today is we're going to do a first round mock 5 times to go through picks 26 that we can get to, so that we all have kind of a feeling of like, hey, how many really picks in the first round until we want to trade back. Then next on the agenda is I have a couple of trade scenarios that we are going to get into. I'm going to have Miley pick his adventure, and then we're going to do a 7-round mock into there. So let's get cracking. We're going to start with the first round. So we're going to do 5 first round mocks to get it going. And let me share my screen real quick. Now, if anybody is interested, this is the Draft Professor website. So how this works, there we go. Draft Professor website right here. You'll go into the draft simulator. You can pick your team, Buffalo Bills. Right down here is a first round Fanatic mode into Fanatic Challenge. Right on the bottom here, you can pick how many times you want to do it. Molly, you want to do it 5 times?
Yeah.
We'll do it 5 times. So we got 5 locked here. We're picking Buffalo. We're going to start this draft. So here's a look at the first round and how it can shape up. It's interesting. The draft's moving around like crazy. Last week, people talked about how it's going to be a heavy draft. This week, Adam Schefter's shutting that down because there's not a lot of quarterbacks. That's not getting moved. And now we're back into smaller trades, but I think we can make a trade back. I think this is very possible. So, all right, Miley, you're picking your whole adventure this time. So let's look. Who do you want to take as your first rounder?
Oh, well, this one's pretty easy. This
Yeah.
is the podcast favorite, Randall specifically. This is the number 1 guy at 26 I would take, unless Jordan Tyson has a fall because of injury. Like, that's the only way. If he has a fall because of injury and Bean feels comfortable with it, Tyson would be 1, but I don't see him falling to 26. I think if he makes it to like Pittsburgh, they're gonna take the stab at it. So out of the realistic options, it's Casey Conception. He is the easy at 26. He's the one of the few where, all right, we can take him at 26. We don't trade back. I'm happy. There's maybe him and like 1 or 2 other guys
right.
where I would be happy with at 26. Everyone else would be like, all right, we should have traded back and drafted that person.
Agreed. Yeah. And I would be curious because, like, I wonder if, like, let's say because Jordan Tyson is doing his pro day the 17th, so in 4 days, like, let's say he runs like a 4.53, and then maybe Casey jumps, and then Tyson kind of lays out into that 23-25 area. That's when we should trade. That's the only reason we should trade up.
That's the only person I'd trade up for.
Only
Is
person.
if Tyson fell, because no one else that I'd want to get would fall enough where I'd be okay trading up for them. Like Carnell Tate's going to be a top 15 pick no matter what. Ruben Bain's going to be a top 15 pick no matter what. Sonny Styles is going to be a top 10 pick no matter what. Like those are the only 3 players I'd feel comfortable trading up for, but we'd have to give up way too much where I don't feel comfortable giving up that much for those guys.
I 100% agree there. All right, so as this works out, as you can see now, Casey Concepcion was drafted by the Chargers there, and that's how this fanatic mode works. Is he makes sure once you get your first pick, even if you can do 3-round, 4-round, if you even make 4 picks, those 4 picks will be gone by your round time. So Casey Concepcion's gone. Who is your next that you'd be willing to draft at 26?
And this would be Caden McDonald. He just he completes our defensive line. I think if you add Caden McDonald, we have a top 5 defensive line in football because I'm very high on Ed Oliver. I'm very high on Deion Walker. I still think TJ Sanders has something there. And then I think Dwayne Carter and Fedarian Mathis, Landon Jackson as the 5 tech, I think can bring you some depth juice. Granted, it's not great, but our big issue right now is we don't have anyone that can hold on double teams in the run game, and it kind of gets pushed around. Caden McDonald is exactly that. He is easily the best double team guy in this draft. The guy who can hold double teams. He defends the run great. His big knock is he can't really rush the passer that well, but we already have someone in Deion Walker who I think can rush the passer from the nose tack. Deion Walker can be the run defending nose tack there too. Like I think he can hold his own, but I think from a 5 tech he'd really flourish. But as a pass rusher, I think a pass rusher 0 tech for Deion, I think would be a really interesting spot. So then you add Caden McDonald to pair with him, and then you kind of have Caden McDonald and Mathis as those early down guys. I think it would help our run defense that was terrible last year. And we were second worst in the league in allowing 3rd and 4th and long conversions. We allowed opponents to convert on 80% of their 3rd, 4th, and 4th and shorts last year. A lot of that is no nose tap. We couldn't get any push up front. And granted, Ed wasn't healthy, so that was part of it, but it was also just.
Oh, is that me or you? Uh-oh. Might have lost Miley for a second. But yes, as talking about Caden McDonald, he's right. Rushing the passer is an interesting aspect to talk about when it comes to areas. Rushing the passer is interesting to talk about with Caden McDonald because it is at 20 years old, he can learn to rush the passer. And that's where I think that that's why he's a first round talent is at his age, he still has a lot of room to grow. And last year was his first full starting, but Ty Robinson 2 years ago at Ohio State, who was drafted as well, was that starting nose tackle for Ohio State. So he's a ball of clay while he's already polished in the run defense. And to be honest, you put Caden McDonald and then because we haven't addressed linebacker, Dorian Williams behind Caden McDonald shuts down interior rushing. So that's 75% of our rush issues. And yeah, when you mentioned the 80% on 3rd and short, that is, I don't even know how we could have made it to the Broncos in playoffs with that statistic, right?
Yeah, the only team worse, I think, was Tennessee, and they're pick 4 for a reason. Wanna who was best in the league at that statistic?
I do.
It was the Seattle Seahawks. And what happened?
Oh.
They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They allowed only like
tackle,
50%. It was 50%. It's because they have Byron Murphy and they have why can't I think of his name? Leonard Williams. They have a great defensive line. They probably have the best defensive line top to bottom in the league. And I think Caden McDonald kind of builds that. And also I think having interior pressure and the run defense aspect also helps out players like Greg Rousseau, because Greg Rousseau is an elite run defender. The thing is, you never see it because teams are like, well, no one else can defend the run on this team. I'll just run away from Greg Rousseau. And so
Right.
he can't really show his ability to fund that run because they'll just run the other side every time. We add in a Cade McDonald. We already added Bradley Chubb, who's a really good to run defender.
Mhm.
That will make it where they can't just run away from Groot. And I think Groot will have a bigger impact as a run defender if we can shore up that inside as we already shored up the other side from him.
Absolutely agree. And it's kind of wild to think that our NASCAR package could be Deion Walker at the nose tack, even though he's 350, 6'7", 340. A NASCAR
Imagine-
package is perfect for him at the nose tack. He would be the pass rushing nose tack.
Yeah, or you throw Michael Hoyt in there a little bit, but like a
Yeah.
pass rushing of where you have like Michael Hoyt and like Deion Walker kind of stunting in the interior, Eddie
Right.
at his spot, and then Chubb and Rousseau on the outside.
Right.
That 5-man rush would get some pressure.
Yeah, that sounds like Jim Leonard would absolutely love
Jim
that.
Leonard's licking his lips for that, I bet.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So now back to Fanatic mode. We're at round 3. So as you can see, Casey Concepcion went to the Chargers. Caden McDonald went to the Eagles. So now that's gone. So now this is rare. I guess we can have this conversation because I think it's very fair. Would you stop here at 2? Would you like,
Yeah.
is there really anybody else that you would like at 26?
There's guys where I could be fine with. I'd be like, all right, I think they're good players. I'd be like, I'd be like, all right, it's like a B- grade pick, like a C+, like a decent player, just not good value. I think those are the only 2 guys that I think are very good value. Omar Cooper, if he's available, is one of them. R. Mason Thomas, I think, is one of them.
Yeah.
It's probably about it. Maybe
I'm with you.
Emmanuel McNeil Warren, maybe Dylan Thieneman if he fell, but I highly doubt that. He's kind of more of like
Right.
same with Tyson. It's not realistic he's falling.
Right.
CJ Allen, Jacob Rodriguez would be like, okay. Like, I'd kind of gotten a little lower on CJ Allen because I've been watching a little bit more. Little stiff in coverage, which kind of scares me.
Yeah.
But
his pro day, that
Yeah.
clip was not in the greatest of light.
yeah, and so like those are that like group of players, I'd be like, okay, like not good value, but I think they're a good player that can serve a nice role. I think they make us better. But it would be more like, all right, if we took them at pick 34 or
Right.
36, and we picked up that extra day 2 pick, then I'd be pretty happy. Be like, all right, now we got some good value. But McDonald, KC, and Cooper, who's not available in this, are probably the only ones. Or another thought that hasn't really been brought up, I just kind of see his name, so it's making me think of it, is if we decided we want to get off O'Cyrus Torrence a year early and just trade him, and we can get a day 2 pick, probably through a swap. We probably have to get one of our 5th, but maybe we can get Torrance and one of our 5ths and get like pick 75. I would go and draft Chase Besantis. I would draft Emmanuel Pregnon. I think
Mhm.
I think you set our offensive line, you get an absolute stud on a rookie deal, and now
Yep.
our offensive line is 4 studs, and then Anderson or Corbett, who I think is serviceable. I think Besantis and Pregnon could be better than Torrance day 1, and you don't have to pay him. The issue is
Yep.
we wouldn't be fixing another hole till pick 75, so that's where it'd be more like an trade down scenario. 26 would be a little frustrating, but like 34, where we pick 66 maybe with the Titans or the Cardinals. I'm not exactly sure those exact numbers. I think it's maybe 35 from the Titans and 66. And then we do the Torrance and we get maybe like 77, or just throwing out numbers here. And then we have 3/3. Then I'd be really nice because it's like, all right, then in those 3/3, we can go and get a wide receiver, nose tackle, maybe edge, maybe linebacker. We could still fill those other needs with day 3 picks or day 2 picks. And now our offensive line we don't have to worry about our offensive line probably at least for a couple years, unless Deion falls off a cliff, which I don't think will happen. I think all that April Fool's stuff got blown way out of proportion. It was him
Agreed.
playing a joke. He was still
Agreed.
really good. If he falls off, maybe you get out of it next year to save money, but I think he's on the team for at least another 2 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if he retired in Buffalo. But our offensive line, especially that right side, where it would be McGovern, whoever we draft hypothetically, and Brown, that would be one filthy side of a line for the rest of Allen's prime.
Right. I agree. Besantis, so Vega and Pregnon are pure athletes. Like, they're balls of clay athletes that you teach to get them going. Besantis is the most technical guard, in my opinion, in this whole entire class. So he is the easiest plug and play guy. You plug him into that right guard spot, and we've now officially have paid our center, our right tackle, and left tackle. By God, we cannot pay our interior guards, unfortunately, because those 3 are paid for. You have 5 full second contract. That's where you get no receivers and no, corners and things along those lines. So I'm with you. So we went with Chase.
One team I think would make a lot of sense for would be the Houston Texans. They have multiple third-round picks, and their offensive line sucks, and their QB's on a rookie deal. I think that would be someone would be willing to give up a third-round pick and would be willing to extend him, because whoever's trading for him is going to extend him immediately. Most likely, it'd kind of be dumb not to. Yeah.
I'm with you. Listen, a lot of people and we're guilty of this, but a lot of people don't do the sexy thing, the non-sexy things in the draft before the draft comes, because you want to have, we want to have fun. We want to get that wide receiver. We want to get that dynamic defensive tackle. Offensive line, Brandon Beane said it a million times, how protecting Josh Allen is the most important thing. So this is a spot where you're making a good business decision by getting cheaper on the line without the extension and getting a guy that's a plug and play. So I hear you. When people, if a guard gets picked, people will get mad, but the people who know ball will understand the philosophy of what they're going for.
Again, I would only like this if we are trading Torrance. If we are drafting, 100%, if we are drafting this guy to just be the starter over Alec Anderson, Austin Corbett, I'd be very annoyed, because I think those guys can be serviceable, capable guys. But if we are doing it and then immediately we already have a trade to get a day 2 pick from trading Torrance, then I can be again, I'd still rather have a couple other players, but I can be all right, I think that makes our team better, and it really kind of gets ahead of something. That's what a lot of the top GMs do in football. I mean, that's what the Chiefs did. Granted, Torrance is not Tyreek Hill, but they don't want to pay Tyreek Hill. They traded him away. Got Trent McDuffie. What'd they do the next 2 years? Super Bowl. And you can make an argument they want it on the back, at least the second one, they want it on the backs of their defense. And Howie Roseman does it too. A lot of the top GMs, they get ahead of extensions. All right, we're not going to pay you the year before your contract's up. We'll trade you, recoup assets, and then use those assets to divert back in with rookie deals.
100% agree. And that's the business side of it. And that's what we really got to get down. I really do want to know, is that a Saber Trout shirt or a Bill shirt? Bill Trout.
What? Oh, this one?
Oh, you survived the snow game. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that
awesome.
the only start we ever won with Peterman, because I could barely watch the game because the snow was that bad. I'm just staring into white.
Nice. All right. Yeah. So now we're into our 4th. See, now I'm with you. I'm with you when it comes down to it. Really, I got KC. Look at that. Jacob Rodriguez went at 19. I got KC.
Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, you and me both. And Kaden McDonald. So if we found no partners, we're at our 4th. We found no partners. We cannot trade back. Who are you looking at right here?
Probably R. Mason Thomas.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm not that big a fan of this edge class. I think it's one of the weakest ones, and I think next class looks to be a lot better, as we've talked about a couple of times. But I do like R. Mason Thomas. I think he's a pretty good player. I think he's got some legit juice, some speed and bend that we're kind of looking for. I just don't think this is the draft class to do it. Again, I think this is kind of year 2 of 3 of really transitioning the defense. Last year, we had to start a youth movement. This year, we're continuing on it, and now we're changing schemes. Next year is kind of where we put the finishing touches on it. And I think the finishing touch is trading up in the draft for an edge at the teens next year. Granted, that's projecting and looking ahead. Nothing ever plays out how you want, really. But it's kind of in my mind, the best case scenario is you fill in the other holes, and then the final cherry on top to really take this defense to the next level, to finish the kind of retooling of this defense, would be trading up next year for a guy. If we took an R. Mason Thomas early, you're not doing that, because it's you have Greg Rousseau, you have R. Mason, you have Bradley Chubb. You're not going to trade up to get another edge rusher. You might draft one day 2 next year or something, but you're not going to trade up for one I'd like. And I just, looking at the value of how things are. But with all that being said, I do think he's a good player, and kind of being realistic, looking at all the options, I think R. Mason would be a good fit in Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree. Because like if we're talking about Cassius Howell versus R. Mason Thomas sort of thing at this point, I would take R. Mason Thomas. He does have a little bit longer arms. Both of their issues are short arms. But if I were to pick, I believe R. Mason Thomas has a better speed to power and explosion profile, while Cassius Howell is more speed and elusiveness with his ghost move, and he has lighter arms. So R. Mason Thomas can win. I would say R. Mason Thomas can win in about two more ways than Cassius Howell could, while Cassius Howell kind of has like at his frame at 250, 30.63 inch arms, 35 and a half. Spencer Brown can basically just swallow him up every single route and just kind of go from there. R. Mason Thomas has another couple tricks in his bag where he can kind of move off of that and then give him a pass rush bag mixed with a plan, and then you start to win. Cassius Howell can get swallowed up kind of like a middle school child.
Yeah, I mean, Cassius Howell has 0 percentile arms.
Right.
The shortest arms ever measured for an edge guy is Cassius Howell. It's not just short arms. They're the shortest ever measured by an edge defender.
Right.
0 percentile. Like that's
Yeah.
that's
the outlier of outlier, right? Nobody wants to take an outlier in the first round. That's an outlier.
Yeah, people are like, oh, you're going to look back at this be like, I can't believe short arms let me dictate. There's a difference between short arms and the shortest ever measured for someone at that position.
Listen, I'm with you.
And like arm length is probably edge is probably the second most important position when it comes to arm length. Opposite tackle's one, and I think edge is probably the second most important for arm length.
100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah, and it's like I'm almost okay with it. Like when people say that, I'm kind of like, okay, well, if it works for another team, that's okay. But it's a high risk. So I'll let that other team take that risk and go from there, and then you guys can handle it themselves. I know a lot of local Bills media is on Cassius Howell, and honestly, I don't know why. Like I know Cover One has talked about him a little bit. Like I saw Eric Turner does really good cut-ups of like how he wins, and that's very clear. Like it's clear how he wins, and he knows his limitations, like Ruben Bain. But then they kind of fell off and stopped talking about him, and I think that's fair because if you dig deeper and you watch somebody like Cassius Howell go up against Trevor Gooseby, who's going to probably be the number one tackle in the 2027 class. He's got 35-inch arms. He's a mammoth of a human being. Swallowed him up every time. Like, just ate him up. There's tape to show that his outlier arms are outlier arms.
I see, like, his ceiling being Jets Bryce Huff, which, again, that's decent. That's pretty decent sack production. I think there was the one year where he had, like, double-digit sacks or whatever, but he's only going to be playing 40% of the snaps for you, and he's a DPR only. He is giving you nothing as a run defender. And that's just not something I value in the first. I'm taking Greg Rousseau getting me 8 sacks every single time.
Every time.
He's someone you can play all 3 downs versus a Cassius Howell, even if he hits 12 sacks once. 40% of the getting you only 12 sacks versus someone who can play 75% getting you 8 sacks, because that 35%, especially that other 35%, he's being an elite run defender, which is half the game. I get run defending isn't as important for edge as it is D tackle, but it's very underrated for edge players to be able to defend the run. If you can't hold the gap, teams can just attack it. You don't, I mean, being elite helps, but you just can't be someone like Cash Howell that's a negative there.
Right. Yeah, setting the edge is so important, and somebody like Cassius Howell is going to have too tough of a time to set the edge, and that just makes him into a DPR. You're 100% correct. All right. We have one more pick. We're down, as you can see. Casey Concepcion gone. Caden McDonald gone. Chase Basantes gone. R. Mason Thomas gone. Is there anybody else here? Would you run it? Would you risk it on a wide receiver? Would you take somebody like TJ Parker, who had 18 QB hits and 11 sacks in 2024, but fell off in 2025? Malachi Lawrence, who might also be a DPR. He's got 33.5-inch arms at 255, but he takes bad angles. Coming from UCF, the competition wasn't the gravest. And his angles are bad on outside runs, and his misdirection's very bad. So he could be a 2-year DPR trying to learn run defense, and then you maybe get him as a 3-down edge in year 3. What do you think?
Just to be versatile, I haven't taken more than one person at one position. I'm going to go with the linebacker here, and I know I was talking about how I've had some concerns on C.J. Allen. I will go C.J. Allen because while he has some stiffness issues in coverage, he is someone that can play the actual like middle linebacker green dot and take some pressure off of Terrell Bernard. He was calling plays And as a college player, he was calling most of the plays. He is extremely smart. He is elite against the run. So he's basically just a much better version of Dorian Williams. There's like Dorian Williams, a great against the run, great tackler, but he's not super high IQ. He's not someone you're going to make your green dot, and he's terrible in coverage. I have some issue with CJ Allen in coverage. I don't think he's that bad as Dorian Williams. And so I think CJ Allen is just a better all-around version of Dorian Williams. And again, that high IQ, being able to call the plays, I think is going to be very important, especially for Jim Leonhard, first-year DC. He's going to want someone out there that can do things like that and kind of take some of the pressure off him. You take pressure off Terrell Bernard, who's kind of had issues the past couple of years, being that green dot where he's kind of being a little slower to react because I think he's overthinking it. Granted, part of it's also injuries, but I think that would be a really good pairing. Still would rather have Jacob Rodriguez, but he's already taken for obvious reasons. I don't care that he's under 6 feet tall. He's very stocky. He's over 230, and he can do both. He can defend the run. He can cover. Yes, maybe his coverage is a little bit weaker than his run defense, but he is an absolute playmaker. He gets interceptions. He forces fumbles. He can get you some sacks. Basically, like if CJ Allen's a better version of Dorian Williams, Jacob Rodriguez is a better version of Terrell Bernard.
That's exactly what he is.
Either one works for me. I'd be fine having 2 Terrell Bernards on the field with Jacob Rodriguez and Terrell Bernard because players who can't cover, I'm just not a big fan of you being an every down linebacker because, again, if you have a clear weakness, NFL teams will expose it. It's the same issue with the Chiefs the last couple of years. Whenever we play the Chiefs, I think we do a really good job of scoring on them because it's like, all right, we can just, especially with Joe Brady, it's like we just attack the middle. We'll throw it to James Cook. We'll throw it to Dalton Kincaid while Nick Bolton runs around like a chicken with his head cut off because he doesn't know how to cover anyone.
Yep. Facts. Very much fact. That's what it comes down to. And I agree. Like Jacob Rodriguez is that guy that could step into a role, and he's a lunch pail guy too. That's the thing. That's not what a lot of people are really discussing as well when it comes to draft. Is drafting good players should be the number one priority, and then figuring it out later in the second. Jacob Rodriguez is a good football player. He has tape that shows he's a good football player. He will transition the NFL well. So if you take him, you can't really be mad because you're just drafting good football players.
Yeah. And also one more quick thing is people have already been talking about wanting to get out of the Terrell Bernard contract. We do have him at least for this year and next year. Yeah. If we draft Jacob Rodriguez, he can be that replacement in 2 years. And when we're going to be tied up against the cap for these next couple of years, getting out from that could be helpful. So if Bernard plays well, then you don't need to cut him. But if the injuries weren't the full issue and he still struggles, you can cut him in 2 years, and Rodriguez is right there to replace him.
Yep, I'm with you. I also do think Terrell Bernard is going to have a little bit of a bounce back.
I do.
I'm going to hold my hope for that. I think the injury did play a big part, and then he can get back, especially if he has a good Mike next to him, too, because he shouldn't play the Mike. He's got to play the Will. So I think there's a lot going on there, which I love. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so as you can see, those are the 5 first-rounders that we would not throw ourselves out the window past Caden McDonald, Chase Bisontis, Armace Dobbins, and CJ Allen. They would be okay, but I think we're both in agreement that Casey Concepcion and Caden McDonald are those guys at 26, and then if not, we would like to do a trade back. So, in this scenario, Casey Concepcion's gone. Caden McDonald's gone. Brandon Beane is getting phone calls wondering who wants to trade back with. Now, I have a couple trade scenarios that I will show, and just to let you know, I did not use Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals has 7 picks. Realistically, I know that Arizona Cardinals may be top 3 bad mistakes. I don't want to say dumb, but makes dumb decisions when it comes down to it. So they could definitely move up for it. But if it was in any good conscience of Arizona Cardinals, they should not trade back into the first for Ty Simpson. They should certainly just pick guys that they could put on their roster, figure out who's good, and get a quarterback in 2027.
Yes, but again, new regime.
Yeah, right.
And regime. Also it being a McVay guy, wanting someone like a McVay style quarterback and Ty Simpson.
Fair point. So I got these cooked up. Other than the Arizona Cardinals, I've got these up. Just quickly looking at it, which trade you see might be the most spicy, the most amount of Zatarans on that trade?
I think the one I like the most is probably the Bills and Titans one.
Bills and Titans one. So we'll go
Yeah.
through them. Yeah, we'll go through them real quick, and then I have my reasons why they did it. So the first trade, and then as you can see, as we're going through the draft, folks, in the middle is a Rich Hill trade value. A lot of NFL teams go by the Rich Hill trade chart to figure out how they're going to use their trades. So I use that. The equals is the amount of points worth each pick, and then to make it fair enough, the top might be a little off. You could throw in a 2027, but we'll talk about that. So the first trade that I have is with Bills and Raiders. The Raiders are going for Fernando Mendoza at 1, but they have a right tackle who has allowed 32 pressures, 10 sacks, and 6 QB hits last year in DJ Jones and DJ Glaze. Correct, right? So Raiders may want to get their right tackle in line to get ready for Fernando Mendoza to start probably after the bye week, which they'll do, start Cousins for a little bit. But this trade right here, we trade 26 and 165. We have pick 168, so that's kind of a throwaway. In return, we get pick 36 and 75, and the Raiders select right tackle from Clemson, Blake Miller. The option number 2 is we send our first two, 26 and 91, to the Titans. The Titans have a left tackle, and Dan Moore Jr. in the last 2 years has allowed 90 pressures, 20 sacks, and 10 QB hits.
Despite them
rough.
giving him $80 million.
Yeah. So they might need to invest in that left tackle business. So to help Cam Ward out, they're looking for a left tackle. Monroe Freeling might drop a little bit because he's a ball clay, or Lomu because he's a little bit lighter, but he's a very good left tackle. We trade our 26 and 91. We receive 35, 66, and 101. Now, 101 is the first pick of the 4th round. So it's right there, but, top 100s, it's right there sort of thing. So I'm going to let you choose the first round, and then we'll pick the second round. Once we get our 2 trades in line, we'll force the trades on PFF, and we'll do a 7-round mock. So out of those first 2, what do you like?
Definitely the Bills and Titans one, for sure.
Bills and Titans one? Okay, so
Yeah.
I agree, because we move, instead of we go up from 91 to 66. That's a little bit sooner than the 75. And then we really just, we just go back 10 spots in that third pick at 101. So I agree. Okay, so we're at 35, 66, and 101. So now we own 35, 66, and 101. So now the game plan, the goal is to get 4 in the top 100 just to have some fun, because next week we're going to go over our final Buffalo Bills mock and our final first round mock. So let's get to 4 picks in the top 100. We have that 101. We have 101, 35, and 66. So now in round 2, to get up to 4 picks, we can trade pick 35 and 126 to receive 45 and 80. That would give us pick 45. That would give pick 66. And that would give us pick 80 on there. Option 2, we give away pick 30. Let's see, we own 35 now. 35 in our last 7th round pick in 220. We pick up pick 49 and pick 82. Which one do you like that more? Obviously, Vikings, you go further back into the 49, so you're close into the 50. You gain 49, 66, and 82, and then 101. If you want to do the first one, we have 45, 66, 80, and 101.
I would go with the second one.
The Vikings?
Yeah. I kind of want to keep 220 so we can draft a kicker there. I doubt we will, but I'm going to continue to tell myself we are until we don't, and then I'll be like, darn it, that's stupid.
Right, for sure. Oh, so we would be giving up 220 in the Vikings. Do you want to stick with the Ravens?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll stick with the Ravens. I do like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So now for this 7-round mock, we're going to own 45, 66, 80, and then 101. So we'll do the first trade. Let me force this while it's up, and I'll get it going. This still remains the 2-1 saver still, correct?
Yeah. And let me preface this by saying, if it was up to me, if we do a trade, I want to do multiple trade backs to end up in the 30s. I'm thinking some like move back to the end of the first round more, I think would be ideal. It's maybe like a New England for if they're trying to get a wide receiver if they don't land AJ Brown, or Miami for a wide receiver, or I don't know, maybe the Chiefs want to trade up. I don't care about trading with the Chiefs or the Seahawks. One of these teams willing to trade up, and then now we're right at the end of the first round. I think a team in round 2, like again, one of the Titans or the Raiders, or we're going to want to jump back into the first round to pick up that 5th year option hypothetically, and also select a guy in day 1. So like just get their guy. And I think we do 2 small trades like that with multiple pick swaps where we end up at pick like 35. And then we use through a couple of pick swaps, maybe our 6th round turns into like a 4th and our 5th round turns into that 3rd. And it ends up being a little bit of value more on our side by us doing multiple small trade downs, kind of like when we did to get Keon, except for we just don't draft someone like Keon. We don't need more draft picks, in my opinion. I think having 8 draft picks that we have right now is plenty. I think having more, we're just going to be drafting players to get cut, and I think that's a complete waste. I would rather just get veterans for these camp battles than waste draft picks. So instead, I pick swap these later draft picks to move up into higher draft picks so we have more quality picks. I want more day 2 picks. I don't need more day 3 picks.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The only thing that I will disagree on is I would like as many offensive linemen as I can. Not as many, but we talked about the double dip that we did with like Epic Mock 26. I kind of like the idea of having a couple extra offensive linemen to have a competition battle. And then I do think that they wouldn't get plucked from the practice squad. So I think there's an opportunity there to have a good competition so we can revamp our offensive line depth to make sure that we still have that deep depth that we had to dive into this year.
See, my thing is I really like Grable to be the swing tackle. I think Anderson, Corbett, Torrance is a very, very good guard trio. And then we signed Cushenberry, so either whoever wins between Van Pan, Granger, and Cushenberry, I feel very confident for that backup center. So really, there's only one spot that I feel uneasy, and that's Lunt. And we do have Travis Clayton still. Who knows what we have out of him? So maybe if we draft one late offensive lineman, like a tackle guard situation like Lunt, and then they battle it out. But I think drafting 2 is guaranteeing that you're at least pissing one draft pick away. It's guaranteed.
Yeah,
that
true.
Most one offensive lineman that we draft this year is making our roster, unless we trade away Torrance. Then there's room for 2. But as it stands right now with Torrance on a roster, at most 1, and then that's just cutting a draft pick from last year. And even though I'm not a big Lunt fan, so like I wouldn't hate that, but drafting 2 would kind of frustrate me because it's like, all right, we basically just guaranteed we wasted a draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you there. You sold me on that. I do agree. Yeah, I got nothing for you. You win.
Yay!
Yeah, I get it. Sometimes I just need talking to. Okay, so some of these might have been worked out, but just to let you know, these trades were actually not forced. They'll show forced trade just because I put it on there. But both our trades that we ended up with was 80% chance of it being approved. So however it worked out, however I did this, it did end up working out. But so right now we're going to hold 45, 67, 80, and 91. We lost 126, but we get 168, 182, and 220. I think that's pretty good scenario for us, yeah?
Yeah.
All
we
right.
got 7 picks and 4 of them in the top 100.
Yeah. All right, let's start it.
Wait, do we have pick 101?
No, pick 101, it's 91.
Oh, we kept
Instead.
91. I see we kept 91.
Yeah.
Sick. That works for me.
Right? Yeah. All right. So before us,
yep, I already know who I want.
yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So before us, so KC goes at 33. So we couldn't even get him at 35. Basantis goes there. Could have been Christian Miller. Wow, this draft is kind of crazy. Pregnon went. Pons there. Bernard. Lee Hunter right there. Caleb Lomo dropped. Okay, so 45. Let's see. We're looking at. Yeah, Gabe Akis here. You got Malachi Lawrence. I tend to agree with you, to be honest with you. I think, is this a joke? Would you do Jacob Rodriguez over Josiah Trotter?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it. I do love the opportunity.
I just think Jacob I could see the argument for why Trotter is a better fit, but just Jacob Rodriguez is better.
Yeah,
Better
take the
player.
good player. Take good players. There we go. All right, we're going Jacob Rodriguez here.
Oh, and there goes Yakis and R. Mason, literally the 2 picks right after.
Yeah. Okay, now we're already up to bat again. Let's look,
and of course Trotter's still there too, but obviously we're not going to take him.
Wide receiver.
I kind of know who I probably want. Safety put in there. Nose tackle.
No, oh yeah, good call.
Probably there's. See if the other guy I'm thinking. Okay, so it's between 2.
Okay.
And
what do you
who
think?
do I think? It's between Dominique Orange and Ted Hurst, and who do I think is more likely to be there at 80? Probably Ted Hurst. So I'd probably go with Dominique Orange here.
Let's do it. I love that. Great nose tack. We've Dominique Orange was visited by the Bills. I'm not sure if it was a workout or if it was a top 30, but they worked him out and have talked about it. So I love that nose tackle. And he has pass rushing upside in Dominique Orange. His 2025 tape, he had a high ankle sprain. For anybody that is a little off on Dominique Orange, he had a little bit of a high ankle sprain. His 2024 tape showed that how much he could do in pass rushing stunts, twists, and he is a big body that can 2-gap all day. Let's do it. And we're up at 80. I love this. All right, let's see who's available at wide receiver before Bills Mafia chops their head off. Boom.
Yep. Boom.
Ted Hurst. This is falling into our laps too well.
Yeah. If Hurst wasn't there though, I'd probably go somewhere else and then go Stribling at 91. I'm really starting to like Stribling more, and because probably my favorite wide receiver stat is breakout age. I think that if you're looking at one singular stat to see how well it correlates, out of all positions in football, I think the one breakout age matters the most for is wide receivers. It always seems to be wide receivers with high breakout ages always produce well. Wide receivers with bad breakout ages almost are always, but the correlation is very high. You look at a lot of the top day 3 guys that end up becoming steals, a lot of them had high breakout ages. It's just one of them. If you're showing that you can win at 18, 19, 20 years old versus you're not winning until you're 22, 23, I mean, it matters for a lot of positions, but I think wide receiver is one that has a huge correlation. And Stribling's adjusted breakout age is under 20, and he was playing in the SEC this year, so he's battle tested. And he's someone that just risen up my board a lot after Alex talked about him when we did a wide receiver ranking like a month ago. I looked into him more. And I really like him, but Ted Hurst definitely over him for sure.
Yeah, for Stribling, like the 4.3 speed was very surprising. I did not expect that out of him. My knock for him, Stribling personally, is that his late games are doing a lot of his heavy lifting. There's 6 or 7 games throughout his regular season that were under 15 yards receiving. So when it comes down to, like, he did great. Like, his breakout age is because he got the transfer from Oklahoma State to Ole Miss. And Oklahoma State, he looked very good. They used him a little bit differently than Ole Miss. And I do get it when it comes to Ole Miss. They went from, I can't even remember who got hurt early, but their starting quarterback was not their starting quarterback to begin with. He got hurt, and then they went to Trinidad Chambliss. So the move to Trinidad Chambliss would probably spark a little bit less production, but then at the end he did. But limited route tree, I like the speed. I get it for sure. I'm a 5th rounder on Stribling, but let's go Ted Hurst. Ted Hurst, for everybody, Georgia State, 6'3", 205, ran, I believe, a 4.39 or a 4.41 in the combine. And he's an impressive, I can't think of the Cowboys wide receiver, not CD Lamb. Who's not CD Lamb?
George Pickens?
George Pickens. He's George Pickens-esque, but he has a little bit more to his route tree, and he decelerates and dips his hips better than George Pickens. He's got that speed on the outside. He's an impressive guy. The only thing he needs to work on is some of his press releases, which he certainly can. He showed that in the Senior Bowl that he was a little rough in that area, but coming from Georgia State, that's not an issue where he can definitely learn that. All right, we're back on the clock. We don't have a pick till 168. Is this where we need to entertain safety?
Yeah.
We were knocking out positions of need, which I love. We got the linebacker out. Are you a Taft guy? A lot of people are moving Taft up their rankings. Walk on, run support. Run support's good. He can do strong and free. Are you a Genesis Smith guy who has a 24% missed tackle rate and he tackles above the shoulders? He will probably need a full year to learn that. Are you a Bud Clark guy that's a home run or go? He will attack the ball. He could give up an explosive play, but he's had 20 career interceptions in his collegiate career, and he's PBUs all day because he's chasing the ball.
I'm going to go with Genesis Smith because the missed tackle thing is concerning, but he's not going to be asked to be the starter.
Mm-hmm.
He might be safety 4 his first year.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got Cole Bishop, you got Gardner Johnson, you got Geno Stone. So Genesis Smith can be that 4th safety. You're not going to really have to play him. He can just focus on getting better at tackling. And I don't think he's ever going to be a good tackler. But funny enough, a comp of his is probably Geno Stone, who he's going to be playing with. He can learn from Geno Stone. Not great ball. They're not good tacklers. I don't think Genesis Smith will ever be a good tackler, but good ball skills and can be a good center fielder. And if I'm being honest, if I'm relying on my free safety to make a lot of tackles, my defense probably sucks.
Preach.
So that doesn't affect, Geno Stone's tackling issues got exposed in Cincinnati last year because their defense was terrible and everyone was getting 20 yards down the field and they're relying on him to make tackles. And he just isn't. Baltimore the year before, he was very good because their defense is a lot better. He wasn't having to make a lot of tackles 20 yards down the field.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir at this point because we've had conversations about that with draft professors and Team MBS and everybody, and we have the same exact thought. Like at this point, first of all, I believe that Genesis Smith is the best co-pilot next to Cole Bishop. Genesis Smith is the best center fielder in this class, 100%, full stop. Best center fielder, has the best range in this class. That allows Cole Bishop to do whatever he wants on that field for Jim Leonard, and I think that's what Jim Leonard needs. And with 2 good safeties, even if he doesn't play next year, that opens up Jim Leonard's playbook to the max. If you don't have good safety play, defensive coordinators have to take plays out because if you can't trust your 2 guys in the back commanding the defensive back room, then you have to fix it by changing your plays. Genesis Smith leaves that open for him and Cole Bishop.
Yep.
Love it. All right, we got that. We are absolutely on fire right now, to be honest with you. I wish other Alex was here. Although I don't think he'd like the Jacob Rodriguez pick, yeah?
I don't think he was that low on Rodriguez.
I can't remember.
I thought he might be a let's get a wide receiver because he's very heavy on positional value versus versus prospect. Which I understand to a degree, but I just draft good players. I think chasing positional value is how you end up with busts more often than not.
I agree for sure. A la Kaiir Elam. Okay, so how about
Ezekiel Massis, or however you say his name?
Ezekiel Massis. So these are the 2
I said
that I wanted.
So wrong.
Yeah. Both religious names. Okay, so
I'm not even going to pronounce. How is it pronounced?
Ephesians
Prysock. That's interesting.
Okay, so let me sell you on who we should pick for the backup. Ephesians Prysock. This is pretty simple. He's basically a man corner, but he is 6'4", 195 with 34-inch arms. Crazy range as a man's coverage on the outside. He was outside with Ephesians Prysock, or Tacario Davis. Shakari Davis was 6'3", 200 pounds as well. So you had 2 aliens on the boundary. Not sure how people scored on him, to be honest with you. He's a working project. They had a pretty
good defense.
They did have a good defense. Great point.
Yeah.
And then Ezekiel Massis. I'm a fan of both, to be honest with you. I like Ezekiel Massis. I like Cal DBs. They're very smart when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Massis may have better ball locating skills than most day 3 wide receivers. He is good at his back pedal. He's got fluid footwork in his back pedal. He steps in hard when he wants to commit, and he can cover 2 levels in zone. More of a zone guy, can play man, but his interceptions are incredible. Like his ball locating, his sideline control, the way he can pick balls off for PBU is very impressive. So would you think that do you think our system, which I would get both, because Ephesians Prysock, if you're looking at him, Ephesians Prysock could back up Maxwell Hairston in man coverage and be able to be that man guy to step into that role, or you could have Ezekiel Masses that could be that cover 3 zone guy that we're going to use a lot with Jim Leonard and be able to back up both guys in a situation just in case for Benford.
I would rather have Matt, just because we don't have we currently are our third boundary corner is probably our starting nickel corner in D. Alford if Strong can't come back. And I mean, honestly, that's fine. So I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe get a veteran and we just draft one guy and we have Alford kind of be like, all right, if one of our boundary guys go out, we can move him out because he can cover. And then we can throw Gardner Johnson in that slot, Bishop in that slot. We could throw Hancock in that slot. I think we have like multiple guys who can go in at the slot. And maybe that's why they got Gardner Johnson, because like he can be the backup slot. So Alfred can be a backup boundary. And then Geno Stone can be Chauncey Gardner, his backup. So if anyone gets injured, it's kind of like a chain reaction of, all right, we can just put this one here, this one here, this one here, and boom. And that's kind of almost a way to save a roster spot almost.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. All right, let's go Hezekiah. Yeah, 2 picks left, 182. Is this where we want to go OL depth?
Yeah.
Because we want to go kicker last?
Yeah. And we got every other position because I guess we didn't go edge this class, but again, we kind of already talked about how just signed Von Miller. Von Miller had 9 sacks on 40% of plays last year, on a worse D-line than we have, a much worse, and a team that sucked and was mostly losing. So it's not like he's playing for Buffalo where he'd have more just pure opportunities to pin his ears back and go after the passer because we're winning and it's fourth quarter and we just need sacks. And we have much better defensive linemen around him, so there's not as much attention on him. And people are like, well, he's 37. Yeah, he just did this at 36. Oh, injuries. He played 17 games last year. We don't need him to be the money we paid him to begin with. But again, if he can get us, play 35, 40% of snaps to be a DPR and get us like 8 to 9 sacks by being that speed bend guy, works for me. Give me a playoff sack. That sounds good. I'm happy.
I'm honestly with you when it comes down to it. I would like him to get a 10-sack year for us so then we can recoup some of that value on him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of best of both worlds, right? But I would like to see what he played, how many snaps. I'm going to look up how many snaps he played at Washington last year because he used 9 sacks. I mean, at that point, I don't see why he couldn't do it.
40%, so I don't know exactly what that number is.
Man, I feel like we can knock it down.
Yeah, 30, 35, and again, 7, 8 snaps. It's just pure third down. So he isn't going to be on a single early down except for late in the fourth quarter.
Right, I'm with you. 100% with you. All right, so we'll look. Yeah, not many edge. I mean, Quintavious Hudgens is a project at edge. He's a twitchy guy, but I think he's like 230. He's not 240. He played pretty much at 230. George Gumbs Jr. is an interesting one. He's a project. He's kind of gaining some steam.
He played for a good college.
Yeah, I did like George Gumbs out of it, but other than that, TJ Guy's not a guy. But let me introduce you to some guards that could work very well. Micah Morris is getting hot. He's 6'4", 330. This is like almost a good opportunity at a Torrance where they're not the most mobile guys, but they will sit there and they'll block their ass off.
They got a good anchor.
They can move on. They got a good anchor, yeah. Micah Morris.
Well, do we have any tackle guards like a one type where he's a tackle, but he's probably going to be guard, but he can play tackle?
Yeah. Let me see. This guy, I don't think he did. Yeah, he played all guard K. Yeah, and Nez Cooper's.
Well, did you select interior offensive line or offensive tackles? I don't see anyone with offensive.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Go call. Let's find a guy. I'm gonna get rid of edge if I can. Drew Shelton. Drew Shelton, somebody that could kick inside, and I believe he was a left tackle. Yep, left tackle that will be kicking inside. I'm surprised that Drew Shelton is here, to be honest with you. That's kind of a ticket. Shelton played left tackle. Rucci played right tackle. He could go kick into guard as well. I like Shelton way better.
Penn State develops offensive line pretty good.
100% agree. Yeah,
and I mean, he got the owner connection.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's pretty much the pick. If I were to pick a guard, I like shout out to Caden Barnett, this guy from Wyoming. You could get one of Wyoming alumni with you, played right guard, played some right tackle as well. Really, he is a good anchor. He's got good athleticism too, but his nickname is at Wyoming the Vanilla Gorilla. So that would be dope to have on our team.
And the Wyoming connection.
And the Wyoming connection, yes. All right.
Vanilla Gorilla, that I kind of want to draft him just because that's an insane name.
It's an insane name, right?
I love it.
Yep. It would be, and then Josh would love that as well. But let's go Drew Shelton responsibly, because that is left tackle. He kicks in guard for sure to start, and then he has that left tackle prowess, which is what we need just in case Deion Dawkins does not go through, does not have a great year. We need to have that conversation.
And this last pick's pretty easy.
Yep.
The
only special teams kicker that might be drafted for sure. I think everybody else goes into PFA or UDFA. We take Trace Mack, correct?
Yeah.
Trace Mack it is. All right, we'll go over this real quick, but this is a prime time draft. This kind of gets me draft. It gets me jacked up, right?
Yeah. We just don't get edge, but again, sign Von. Yeah, this would be Sunday evening. Oh, we signed Von Miller for 1 year up to $5 million, where it's like $3 million guaranteed, $2 million worth of incentives. And then we signed Shaq Thompson to a 1 year, $3 million, or we signed Brandon Cooks to a 1 year, $3 million, and boom. Good. Done.
Agreed. I absolutely love it. And especially because I'm even willing, I'm not sure, I haven't even gotten close to that, what the 2028 class is. But if there's one first rounder I'm willing to give up, it's probably a 2028 first to move up in the 2027 draft to then solidify. Because then right here, we have our wide receivers pretty much set with Ted Hurst on a cheap deal. We have our nose tackle that we needed, the linebacker that we needed. 2027, you get your true edge. You've now gotten cheaper at expensive players, and now you can build around that into future years. So not only I believe in this draft that you basically picked, Miley, most of them, that we have created in this draft leads us to be able to spend more money in the future and assess it in a different way. And I think that's exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, because basically you're looking at this. What are potential needs for 2027? Edge, guard. That's it.
Right.
I guess if Maxwell Harrison busts out the corner, but probably not.
Right.
Ed Oliver can't stay healthy, and we have to get maybe at 3-tech. Probably not. These are very rare. Maybe maybe Ted Hurst sucks wide receiver again. Probably not. But it's linebacker, no. Or maybe Terrell Bernard sucks again, linebacker, but probably not. It's nose tackle, no.
Right.
This is where it's all right, guard, but you can get a guard. You can get a starting guard 3rd, 4th round. This is a position where next year we trade our 1st and 2nd and maybe a day 3 pick and see how high we can get in the draft and get an edge guy. Maybe we trade some 2028 picks. Maybe we just go crazy and we go the Julio Jones type offer to move in the top 10 and draft Dylan Stewart.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it when it comes down to it. Just get it done. That would literally be the last piece we need to get to the championship, in my opinion. If we don't get to the championship this year.
I think I think it's good enough for us to be able to do it, but still got to always be looking semi ahead. I'm not saying I'm looking to how the team's going to look in 2030, but I at least try to always look in 2 year windows.
Right. Oh, 100%. And I do think that this is a type of draft. I'm not going to glaze it much longer, but I do really love this draft sort of thing. This also completes sustained success with the option to win a championship. So best of both worlds that Bean likes to do and gunning for that championship.
Yep.
All right. Any final parting words? I know that. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in right now. I know that the Sabres, it's 2-1 still. It's during a Sabres game. So hopefully we'll get some rewatches to check this because this draft is fantastic.
Lightning Red Wing did go to overtime, so if we win this game in regulation, the Atlantic is ours.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's get it done.
They did win, unfortunately, but we win in reg. It doesn't matter. So
exactly. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. If you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. And go Bills, go Sabres. Thank you for coming out, Miley, tonight on a late one. I appreciate you.
All good.
All right. Thanks, folks.